This is a review of the 27mm f2.8 autofocus lens from 7Artisans. This is an APS-C lens, so it gives a full frame equivalent focal length of 40mm, a favourite focal length of mine. For that reason, I'm pleased to see this lens released. It's an interesting focal length that has an identity all of its own. This lens is perfectly suited to general photography and to street photography too. It's very small and unobtrusive, and it gives a field of view very close to that of the human eye, so it feels natural and easy to use. It's a small, compact and light lens weighing just 163 grams, so it certainly won't weigh you down, and it was hardly noticeable on my X-T3. It's very nicely made with a metal body. It's an autofocus lens with a focus ring if you want to focus manually. Autofocus is snappy and it generally found focus quickly on my X-T3. Generally, image quality is excellent from this lens. It's very sharp from wide open, giving crisp, clean images from its maximum aperture of f2.8. Details are very cleanly resolved, and although it's sharpest in the centre of the frame when wide open, the sides and corners are pretty sharp too, and they don't show softness unless you really zoom in and peep at those pixels. I shot it wide open most of the time, but if you want even more sharpness and you don't mind losing some background blur, just stop it down to f5.6 where it's pin sharp right across the frame. If you're shooting street portraits, because this is an autofocus lens, there's no real need to stop down as you might do with a vintage lens when you're zone focusing. With this one, just point the camera and let the electronics do their work. Autofocus is brisk, snappy and accurate. The minimum focus distance of 35 centimeters is a very useful feature. This isn't a macro lens, but it does focus very closely, making it very versatile. Colour is very nice, neither particularly warm nor particularly cool, lying somewhere in the middle. It's very vibrant and saturated. This is not a low-key lens, and it wears its colours proudly. Contrast is very strong with solid blacks and bright whites, helping and supporting the lens's strong colour performance. Shooting into the sun is very well controlled, making it easy to shoot in strong light, and overall the lens displayed resistance to flaring, and contrast didn't drop easily, although in strong enough light it will eventually wash out. Flaring is generally very well controlled and the coatings are clearly very effective, and another factor that helps is the fact that the front element of this lens is fairly deeply recessed into the body. Background blur from this lens is very nice. It's soft and gentle and it's very well controlled. The blur stays soft and gentle across a wide range of distances between camera, subject and background, and it gives some lovely bubbles from point light sources. Even though it's not a particularly fast lens, its very short minimum focus distance of 35 centimeters means that if you stay close to your subject, it's possible to make lots of lovely background blur, if indeed that's what you want to do. This isn't a particularly fast lens, so vignetting doesn't show itself as it sometimes does with faster lenses. Nevertheless, there is a little darkening of corners that can be removed in post, although I usually just leave it there because I quite like it. A small amount of vignetting can give a very nice effect to images, and personally I don't mind it at all. Overall, this is a lovely little lens in a fairly unusual but extremely useful focal length, one that's perfectly suited to both general photography and to street photography too, and this is a great little optic from 7Artisans.